Well, here it is, midnights. What's going on now? It's the 5th of December. It's Thursday in 2024. This is still the Weaver Agency of Roseman, California. And we're still talking about college experience, aren't we? Because that was the last thing I said in my earlier essay as I was leading off on the damn thing. Or actually finishing off on it. I was talking about how people are jealous about other people who got into college and bragged about their accomplishments. Well, they ought to. They ought to. Even if it's an Ivy school, down to the lowest community college level, if you made it in certain aspects, why not just celebrate it a little bit? Well, make people jealous about it? It's not jealousy. But if they're feeling jealous, then that's on them. They're feeling the inadequacy of the situation there. But I'm not. Said before in my earlier video, I was watching somebody who was complaining about so much that an accomplishment was made and he didn't like it. And then you have a bunch of other independents laughing at this guy who didn't like it because he's trying to make an ass of himself, making money and grifting off of people left and right, trying to prove that he's got all the college education, which he doesn't have the college education. And I admit, 10 years as an old fart going through the system there, I may not speak like I'm college educated. Bite me on that one. I learned enough. You didn't go in there and take a class on how to speak collegiate. No, but you had to act like you had to know something about a topic or two that you had a subject favorite in. Me, I had a favorite in a lot of things. Books we talked about. We talked about history. We talked about sciences and things that scared the hell out of me. We're talking about changes in governments and all over the world and how we're seeing it apply left and right. Oh, I know they got the political terminology out there for people to use and makes them sound more educated. And I learned, I came across them in the political science classes of what they were using. Neo this, neo that. I'm thinking, okay, I know people with a higher education level or the academics will use those kind of terminology, but for the layman, I'm thinking, hmm, boil it down to the people. Boil it down to a language that they can actually understand. If you're planning on being a real jackass to people and you think that your own idea and ideologies is better than everybody else, you're willing to put down on it, fine, but you're going to be willing to force and coerce people into thinking your way? And yes, there is a political terminology in there somewhere about it. If you think that for the common good, there are certain things that you need to do to make people's lives better, there is a common political terminology for that one there too. But they use different languages like wokeism and liberalism and insults like libturd, libtard. Put it into a fuller account, and it's for some people it freaks them out left and right. And I looked at the terminology and I'm thinking, well, if I am that way to these people, and on that one, that's the college response to it. That's the collegiate way of doing it. Just there's the gathering of the bugs again. Yeah, if you're going to be telling me that I'm a liberal, I'm retarded because I'm liberal. I didn't know that you had to be mentally deficient to be liberal. Do you have to be? I don't think so. But then again, they consider us socialists and communist. Well, here's a problem concerning about socialism and communism. It doesn't work. Yeah, we'd like to have the government pay for the damn things, but you got to find out where the money's coming from. It's coming out of our pockets and put into the government system to be distributed to everyone else for that matter. Say, for example, I'm going to be talking about the college programs that we got that I understand. The Pell Grants, the loans, the state loans or state grants. My own personal experience, yeah, disabled, so it qualifies me a bit. I'm on state aid. for food stamps, and I do utilize them. But because of that, and I still had history with food stamps a long time ago, but it has to be current, so I'm current with it. I'm still disabled physically and mentally, so that's been proven. It gives me an advantage of utilizing a few programs out there to pay for my tuition into the college. And the grants coming from the federal are going to be paying for the books. Now, the money is coming from the general public. And there is a contract of a sort that people keep forgetting about this one. It's not a written contract, but it's a social contract of sorts. It's unwritten, unseen, but there's established understanding. What are you going to do with it? Now, had I been in a position a long time ago to qualify for loans and grants as a kid coming out of school, out of high school, into the college system, would I have taken full advantage of it? Hell yeah. Because that would have helped me get the better books. But I still had to put in the effort necessary to study and to rise the grades up to a point where I'll be actually been able to graduate. And I wasn't. It was not the material. It's the person going in. They didn't have the attitude. They didn't have the hunger. Didn't feel like why are they there? If they actually had the idea of thinking and feeling, why are they there in the first place? It's not going to work. You have to be hungry for it. You have to want it. A lot of people say, I can't afford it. Well, do you want it? Well, then you're not going to get into it. There's nothing wrong with learning about a new trade. There's nothing wrong about going into occupational centers of sorts and learning a new skill. I've done that myself. I almost got into debt because of a college. What was it? It was a business school. It was a business school that I got into years after I, got kicked out of college, and I tried to learn more skills to help me out there in the work area. And yeah, they do require loans and grants for that too. And I was doing the loans at the time, and I was studying about it through, 93 through 94. During that time, I completed about nearly a year, or about a year. It would have been a 2-year course for me, but we had the 94 earthquake happen, destroyed the campus that was in, and they had to relocate to another building next door. That wasn't just destroyed, but they still modified it a bit. But things happened, and the campus closed down. I learned basics of how to do secretary work, a little bit of law, legal, tort. Yeah. A lot of typing. The bare basic, ugly programs to do word processing and spreadsheets, but I learned. Not the greatest, not up to speed, not the state of the art, but they worked. I wasn't complaining about it. I used them anyway. So I actually tried to continue to educate on things like that and struggled with it. Problem is, during the time when you go into the job places, you had to have been up to speed on these programs. You had to invest a lot working on these programs in order to qualify and going into temp agencies and to businesses left and right. You had to get the information somewhere. You had to go through educational places for that before businesses could accept you. That was the 80s and 90s for you. And then later on. And yes, I did go into another occupational school concerning about medical transcription and billing and coding, but I had to learn the basics first, and that's medical terminology. How to understand the human body one way or another, health related, which got me into the insurance bureaucracy. So yes, I understand a little bit back then of how to read the code numbers, how to read the procedure codes, diagnosis codes, whether or not they're going to get billed or not. Well, if they're going to get paid, it's going to be up to the corporations. But those things I learned offhand. I still try to keep track of what's going on in the industry. I've been out of it for so long, unfortunately. But I put myself through schools. Occupational, when I did that, I was working at the time, and I was actually able to pay for the not the college courses, but the trade courses to go through it. I did trade at school at night and worked my ass off during the daytime, and I was a zombie. But I lived on caffeine and stimulants, which was caffeine, caffeine, and more caffeine. So I busted my ass on that one. But I always had a hankering of going back into college. I was taking care of my family throughout my lifetime, and unfortunately, when Mom died, gave me the opening of going back to college. I wanted to do something for her. I wish I could have done it during the daytime, but I was taking care of her and taking care of jobs left and right. And I got to college. My brother tried for the first semester, and then, as I said before in the other video, tried to complete the first full year, but he couldn't do it. His own health couldn't let him do it. I could. And here I am. I applaud the people trying to get the graduate certificates. I applaud the people who are trying to make something better of themselves. A lot younger people who have more time than I do. We're trying to talk about how much it costs a person. I'm not going to putting it in dollars. Time, yeah, there's a lot of time used, a lot of effort, a lot of energy, a lot of push into it. I came across other people who went into the college system and they played head games with it. They just wanted to get the money and get the hell out of there. They're not realizing how much of a cost it's going to be to them down the road. And the government will go after you on that one. I've heard it. I've seen it. Talked to some of the professors and then some of the students who got nailed by it. So they had to keep changing their, colleges had to change their procedures on how the award money was going to be given out. You have to make an invested effort into your education to prove to them that you're serious enough to continue through. And they'll help you with the finances during that time. And they did me too. See, I'm comfortable being a college student. I like the community college level. I made a commitment to my mother, to my brother. Both were already passed away a long time ago. But I also made a commitment to myself. I was going to fulfill something I should have done a long time ago. I may have got pushed and prodded and dragged into the damn thing a long time ago, but this time I kicked my ass for so long in my life. I owed it. It's a debt to be paid, and I'm paying it. And I also looked at college at a different viewpoint that the students weren't looking at. It's another job. Think about it. When you go into a job, you fill out the application, you're making a plea to the company and to the personnel over there that you're going to be the best selected. You're going to help make that company grow, but you're going to help make yourself grow in that company. You're going to become part of something. which means you need to make commitment to it. You are committing yourself to that particular profession, that particular occupation, whatever it is that you're doing. And that's the same promise that the college is looking for. See, I don't think they ever stressed it in the last year of 12th grade or in the last semester on how important it is to stress to the working community and to the collegiate community. How much are you willing to put in? How much of yourself are you willing to commit to do this thing? Speaking of which, caregiving calls. Hold on. Reminder to myself, if I happen to see this video again, I have the onions at night. As older folks with the older bodies deteriorating can't deal with processing of onions at all. But can we process dealing with dogs that need our help, especially when I am a caregiver to my dog? And yes, one can be a caregiver to a family member, because it does take a lot of commitment to that too. And this is what we're talking about, commitment here. We're talking about committing to something higher than us, a loftier goal, or maybe a more solidified goal. Colleges look for people who are committed, and for those who are going to be putting in the effort necessary, because if you're showing that level of commitment, the other corporations will say, okay, fine. The general rule was a long time ago, and I don't know if it still is right now as it is, but I know back then when I was getting out of high school, you had to have a college degree to get somewhere. That was indoctrinated on us. That was indoctrinated on us kids going through the systems left and right. You got to get the highest grades that you possibly can so you can get into the highest levels of schools, and therefore you be a benefit to society. I know, I heard it. And sometimes I thought I believed it too. And I saw how much education actually does matter, especially when you're on the lowest rungs and you're seeing some of the other kids who've been through school, grades behind you, came up, they got their degrees, you didn't, and now you got to be their foot soldiers, or footstools, basically. The Gophers. I learned. But then again, I learned other things too. See, I don't feel these days like I am above everybody else. I may look or sound like an elitist, especially if I'm going to be talking about a few things, because I grew up around a few things here and there. But the elitism people think about is the egomaniacs, the megalomania. I'm better because I did this. What did you do? Oh, I did this. That's what they're doing. That's what I'm saying all over. The ones who keep belly aching about everybody else who made the collegiate achievements and celebrating it, even for the youth. And you got the other guys who are like, well, that could have been me, but it wasn't me. And these guys are false. These guys are this. Blah, 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 blah. Especially a young woman who makes an achievement, posts it online, and she's getting her ass torn apart because you got the wannabes and you got the, well, are they wannabes or something else to be called from these guys? You guys didn't do it. Okay, fine. Do your own thing. But I am turning about the other thing because this is my grift. Ah! Yeah, well, I got fingers extended on that one, but I'm not about to show them on the camera just yet. But I will do that to you. Some people around here that I live around think I'm smart. I'm an old fort. I hate earthquakes. I'm trying to understand more and more about the geology of our planet, how screwed up it is, but no, it's not screwed up. It's a dynamic engine running on heat sources deep within its center, formed billions and billions of years ago, Because of the oldest rocks that the scientists were still able to look at and analyze, even through radiological dating, we could try to make a half-assed determination of how old the planet is through all the samples we get before they're put back into the Earth, reformulated after so many years, well beyond our lifetime, and then spit back out through hot spots, volcanic activity. How about even being forced up through volcanism, which would have been a hot spot anyway. We got active mountain ranges. We got sleepers out there. We've got sleeping craters waiting to blow up. Maybe the magma chambers haven't been filled up, but they will be soon. And then we'll have a nice rocking and rolling and shaky party. Mama, what are you doing? She's trying to find the water. She's blind, she's old, she's deaf, and no, it's making water on the ground. Hold on. One of the things I was learning about growing up as a kid, when you're caregiving, a lot of that information gets to be transferred to you as an adult. And as an adult, I remember things that were useful once are useful again. Blue checks. Useful for humans and for animals alike, especially dogs, when they need to use the bathroom like crazy and you're afraid to get the carpet destroyed one more time. Have the checks down on the floor. I don't care if they're an eyesore or not, they'll catch it up. And then I get to clean it up, shove it into garbage bags, and toss it out, and that's about it. And she's going to be that way about it. That's my mama's for you. If you guys been watching my videos, you know I got a dog and I take care of a great deal, and I love her a great deal. It doesn't take college education for that, it just takes lifelong and dealing with an old lady. And give her a lot of dignity. Despite the fact she keeps whining at me half the time in the middle of the night, so what sleep will I get? But there's nothing wrong with going to college if one can do it. If one can't do it, then one got books out there. Ray Bradbury was quoted that he spent 10 years in a library. He didn't go to college, but he wrote and he studied. He went into colleges and used them as his own. Actually, he went into libraries and used them as his own college. And he was very prolific, very popular, and very influential. That's what I like about him. That's what I liked about the writers out there, then and now. We find our own topics, we find the things that we want to talk about, and then we communicate it to people. Come here, Mama. See, I don't get it with all these independent medias who like to go after everyone else. Come here, Mama. You're going to be that way. Fine, be that way. And she just jumps off. She's playing head games with me this morning. I don't get it with these guys because do they understand about book learning, book reading? Do they understand about how some of these things actually matter? I guess not. So I guess they get to denigrate and tear apart people left and right because they think they can and they can get away with it. And it just pleases them a great deal to denigrate people, to make themselves feel like they're higher than anything else, when actually they're looking at the dung heap that they're in. And they're seeing someone else has already made bricks and made something solidified format and foundation to build more things upon. It's like, how dare you? I'm better than everybody else in this dung heap. Look at me. Yeah, I saw you already. That's why I moved away from you and building my own foundation of my own dreams here into something that can make it worthwhile. makes you jealous, where the hell were you at? And why aren't you doing this shit? Yeah, and you're making excuses for yourself too, pal. Have a nice day. I almost got in that situation there once. Before my brother and I got into college, it was right after Mom passed away. We actually talked to a friend, and he was going to college. He thought it was a scam and a grift until I actually made it a couple of semesters in there, and I told myself, no, this isn't a scam or a grift. This is a contract I made. I made a contract with myself, with my family, God. But I also made it to the government system and to the college system. I made contracts on these things that I will graduate. It may not become it may not be the higher honors that they will call them. But if I am among the many to actually get a C and above, maybe a little bit, and graduate, I'm okay with it. Now, if I wanted to go to a university, that's going to be another choice right there to make. But other than that, I'll hear from the other guys if I actually mention them. The independents are still doing the same damn job. They're talking about other people and they're complaining about them. And those guys that they're complaining about are complaining back. It's the constant beep, 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 beep. It's one thing if I happen to freak out about a country losing their marbles over democracy. I probably will do another live if we happen to have another country going through the same situation. But I'm not reacting to a CEO getting slaughtered because there's too many theories going around on that one, and I'm not taking a chance on that damn thing. Or a political gas bagger already got elected into the office twice already, and people think he's going to be making a difference. Well, if we happen to have a country that falls, again, I've said it before in my recent videos, I blame the voters. You guys wanted a chaos. You wanted to court this insanity. Guess what? We all reap. Deal with it. As I'm going to deal with my dog, who's screaming and yelling for me right now. And then sleep if there's anything else left of that. So.